You got to be more clear with this stuff, man.
It's been recording for 5 seconds, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, I figured, but like you didn't make that clear at all. But because I know you so well, I figured it out.
After Black
That
History
doesn't
Month
mean
cast. Welcome back.
that doesn't mean that it was any less obvious. And like, how am I just supposed to know that we're recording?
Listen, bro. It's not you. It's the drugs.
You just said it's not you. You already ruined the quote. We started it with the antithesis of the overall statement. So it's already
for the last 5 minutes.
Anyways,
I don't know what to do.
Anyways, welcome to AmityCast. I'm Ellis, as you know, and probably don't love. And over there is him, and he is.
Pretty much.
All right, yeah, it's Matthew. So, we are here today to discuss the Batman franchise. We'll be discussing all of the Batman live-action films up to this point, right before the release of the highly anticipated The Batman from Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson. I'm very excited, seeing it opening night this Friday.
I'm seeing it today. I'm seeing it at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you're gonna see it on IMAX, which I'm really jealous. I'm really envious of. So
yeah, I heard the Batmobile is like the Batmobile scenes are like amazing in IMAX. So I'm actually really excited.
Okay, I'm already envious. You don't have to like make it like worse. You have to rub it in.
In like a regular cinema, it like shakes your bones with how like loud and like exhilarating it is. So I can only imagine how great it will be in an IMAX setting. I really feel bad for anybody that cannot have that same experience. Okay,
all right, cool. Well, so anyway. So yeah, Batman. How about just Batman in general, Matthew? How do you feel about the popular superhero?
Well, as you know, I'm not into men in any way, but I do like me some Batman.
I mean, same. I felt that.
I feel like I didn't watch a lot of Batman when I was growing up, or Superman.
I don't like Superman
until like a bit later. In my youth, I actually didn't watch many of the Batman movies until just before Batman vs Superman came out, when I decided like marathon all the Batman Superman movies before that movie. So I've like seen all of them.
That's like horrible. Okay, hold on. Let me fathom this really quick. So to watch in preparation for Batman vs Superman, a film that was pretty bad. I don't know if rewatched for any of them, but definitely watched all of the Batman and Superman films that you could access.
Yeah, so I watched all, like, the first 4 Batman, first 4 Supermans, and then Superman Returns and, like, the Dark Knight trilogy.
That means you had to see a lot of bad movies in that process.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy, like, the first 2 Superman movies, and I like the first 2 Batman movies enough. And, like, I think the Dark Knight trilogy is pretty, like, enjoyable to watch. And, like, I watched Man of Steel as well, which I like Man of Steel. And actually, I don't hate Batman and Superman, so.
I mean, I don't hate it either, but it's just
I prefer the extended cut for sure, but it's a weird movie.
Yeah, it's really.
But Batman as a franchise is super disjointed, and it's super weird, but it's also makes it very enjoyable on rewatches, just seeing all the different directors.
Yeah, the majority of directors that have gotten on Batman films have at least gotten a sequel or like something of the like. I mean, Tim Burton had his 2, Joel Schumacher had his 2, Christopher Nolan had his own trilogy. It looks like they're planning on doing a trilogy or at least some type of sequel to the future to the Matt Reeves era of Batman now. So that is very interesting.
Yeah, and then Snyder, I guess, had a few, but he never had like an actual Batman movie. Which
he didn't have a solo Batman film with Ben Affleck, which like is a little weird to think about. But
he made such long movies with Batman vs Superman and the Snyder Cut. I'm pretty sure there's probably like 2 hours of Batfleck in that 4-hour movie. So, but yeah, there
was plenty of Batfleck.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Adam West Batman. I know he had a movie, but I don't know if there's much to talk about with that one.
I was planning on talking about that one for about 3 to 4 hours, but if you haven't seen it, then it's like, yeah.
Okay. If you told me that
What?
beforehand, I would have watched it like yesterday.
I didn't actually want to talk about it that long. In fact, I didn't really care to talk about it at all. But it is worth mentioning since it's technically the first theatrical Batman film. Was it theatrical? I don't know. I actually don't know if it was
That was one of the
theatrical, to
most
be honest.
popular um, superhero characters, especially to reboot. And I know everybody complains about these reboots, and like when Matt Reeves said he was gonna do a new Batman timeline, everybody was like collectively groaning. But I don't know. I feel like each one has been very unique in its own, and it doesn't feel like the exact same thing over and over again. It's not like the Amazing Spider-Man, where it literally just felt like the first Spider-Man that came out literally 10 years ago, but just remade. Tim Burton's style was incredibly different from like Christopher Nolan, and
Joel Schumacher was definitely pretty distinct.
Yeah, he was as well, but it was kind of weird because I can never tell the timeline of those first four movies if like any of them are actually connected in any way. It feels like they should be, but then like they're also very much like not at all, and it's kind of annoying.
Right.
And then like Snyder had a very different Batman compared to like Christopher Nolan, and then obviously Matt Reeves. I haven't seen it, but like it's definitely going to be a lot different from what it sounds like from the critics. It's going to be very much like a noir detective movie that's like akin to like Seven and like mystery, like thrillers, which will be very different from like a lot of, because like honestly, a lot of these movies don't really utilize Batman as a detective as much as I would like. And to just start with the Batman '89 stuff, I really like Michael Keaton as like an actor, and like I think he does like a serviceable job as Batman, but I don't think I could ever really understand outside of nostalgia why anybody would say he's the best Batman. But yeah,
I know some people that are very defensive over the Tim Burton ones and Michael Keaton as Batman, which I don't really know why, but I mean, I enjoy them quite a bit. Michael Keaton, I recently rewatched Batman and Batman Returns, and to be honest, it's just like they're much more oriented toward the villains in those films. It really seems like Jack Nicholson's Joker is much more of the main character in the first one, and we get a lot more development for like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Danny DeVito's Penguin in Batman Returns than really Michael Keaton in his Batman. It's kind of weird, which it does make sense. Batman's always been known for great villains. That's why I love the character so much. I've always loved the Batman character and story arcs a lot. And the villains are a big part of that. He just seems kind of secondary in those movies. I think it's to the benefit though of the narrative, honestly. But so like I don't know like why Michael Keaton's Batman would be so beloved to that.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched these movies in like several years. I do like Batman '89 over Batman Returns. Batman Returns is really fucking weird. It's almost too weird for me, especially the Penguin in that movie. I don't remember his character making any sense, like backstory wise, and everybody loves Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, which I think she was like a good Catwoman, but like I don't. There's people that say like she's like the absolute like she's like the pinnacle and like the like standard for Catwoman, and I don't know if it's. I think these people just got really turned on by her in like the 1990s, and they need to chill.
Yep.
Jack Nicholson as Joker, I really like. He's not the best Joker, obviously. He's probably like my third favorite Joker, but I really like him as Joker, and him and Michael Keaton have a good like dynamic, even though they just like kill him off at the beginning of the first movie for some reason. Yeah, why would they kill Joker in the first movie? Also, why would you have Joker as the first villain? I don't know. It's a weird structure.
Well, I know. I mean, they never expected there to be a sequel. At least that's how Tim Burton never expected it to be. It wasn't really supposed to, until they eventually worked on a sequel script, and then they decided that they didn't want to even do that script, and they actually wanted to do something else that was kind of its own standalone thing, just with the same Batman. And it's technically a sequel, but really the overall story is really its own thing compared to the first. So the Joker was just kind of the heavy hitter. Plus, they got Jack Nicholson, and he fit the character pretty well. So it ended up working out. I mean, some people really consider that film to be like a masterpiece and to be the best Batman.
It's not really.
Answer.
It has a lot of problems as like a Batman story. It's like a good movie though.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good. I really do enjoy it. It has a lot of things going for it, and I mean, it was probably like a pretty big deal as far as like how like the future of superhero movies would go, at least somewhat. I don't know how much more than like the Superman films would have done. It's just like, but like it is good. I do like the style. You can definitely feel like the Tim Burton flair, which I think it kind of fits Batman. That's kind of why I enjoy it. And it's a good movie. It's no masterpiece. It really isn't, but I do really enjoy it. It has the overall plot. The overall plot actually it flows pretty well, and the direction and all that. It has a decent score, decent visuals. It has fun with Batman. It does pretty much everything at least decently.
I remember I really liked Tim Burton's Gotham in his two movies. They very much fit Tim Burton's aesthetic. I liked it much more than what Schumacher did.
Yeah,
it was like just the right amount of like fantastical, but like still like realistic, and like it's a rundown city. And when it comes to the character of the Batman in this movie, he definitely kills people. And I don't think a lot of people mention that. Like, he literally kills Joker in this, which I guess I don't like that they should like made it that Joker was the guy that killed his parents. I don't know. I never really liked making the Joker the character to do that. It's not even from the comics, I don't believe, in like any comic. And I don't know. I never liked the idea of Joker like being so much a part of Batman's origin like that. But I guess it worked fine for this movie in the 80s. This wasn't really like trying to be the most comic accurate thing ever. It was just kind of trying to be a Batman movie for like everybody to like enjoy. And you know, all those performances are pretty solid. Story's fine, nothing amazing. It's enjoyable. I remember the final act being pretty good. And Jack Nicholson's a treat to watch. This is like around the height of his career, and Michael Keaton does a pretty good job. He's much better as Batman than he is Bruce Wayne. And
yeah, he's a really weird Bruce Wayne. When I was watching those movies, his deliveries are so like weird. It feels like he's trying to always be Batman, and he never really has any Bruce Wayne flair. I don't know. Michael Keaton overall is just kind of weird to me. I don't like adore his performance. I mean, I think it's good, but I don't like adore it though.
yeah, and I guess he's coming back for The Flash, and he's also coming back for Batgirl. And I don't know how that's going to work at all considering the timeline, but I am interested in that. Weird. I think he'll probably do better in those movies because he's obviously much more experienced as an actor. But I don't have that much nostalgia for him. I mean, of course, he wasn't in my generation or anything, but I just don't think he was that impressive for the two movies he was in. He was just like a good introduction, and he did his best, but he was just like a lot of people's first Batman, so there's always gonna consider him the best. Like, I know my parents, at least one of them, considers Michael Keaton like the best Batman, and I was like, okay. Christian Bale's much better. I'd even argue Ben Affleck's better than Michael Keaton as Batman. And yeah, not much to say about Batman '89. I don't remember what I would give it. Probably like a 3 or something like that.
What was that?
I'd probably give like Batman like 89 like a 3 out of 5, something like that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think that's what you gave it on Letterboxd. I'd say I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. It's definitely good. It has its flaws. I think a lot of people are kind of blinded by nostalgia with it. I am somewhat, because those were my introduction to Batman and Batman Returns. But Batman's nowhere. Batman '89 is nowhere near my favorite. But I do really enjoy it. I think it does a lot of things right, especially for like an early on Batman adaptation. So 7 out of 10. I definitely think it's worth a watch, especially for Batman fans. But honestly, it's not better. Let me preface that. But like, as far as personal preference, though, I actually prefer the sequel just because of what it is. That's just personal preference, though. I don't think it's a better movie. But Batman Returns.
Batman Returns is so
It's,
fucking like weird. I know the studio really got mad after this movie because like it was so fucking weird that even like I think kids weren't that into it, so like they couldn't make as much toys and market it as much because parents actually didn't want their kids watching it. I always remember that penguin scene. I think he makes like a very explicit sex like joke in like the middle of the movie, and like I don't
well, I
remember.
mean, like throughout the film, like when I recently saw it, like as a bit older than the last time I did, I noticed that like there are like quite a few times that like he makes like remarks that are a bit like sexually provocative in like different ways. Just kind but like honestly, like from like rewatching it, it made a lot of sense to me as like someone who's been repressed to the sewer for so long, and just like this kind of just like sleazy guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
I think
the
it worked a lot better than what I remember, like being really put off by it. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, okay, well, he's just kind of a creep. But like you kind of understand why when you really think about the full picture of the film. He's especially with Michelle Pfeiffer and her Catwoman, their first scene together is really it's really like it's got like sexual tension, one-sided sexual tension, I guess is the best way to put it. It's kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember always really liking Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer's dynamic.
Yeah, I think
And
they played it pretty well. I think just Michelle Pfeiffer just gives an overall really solid performance, and Michael Keaton does the same. I mean, he's kind of the same as the first film. Just he does pretty good. He does what he's supposed to do, and it just kind of works. They have decent chemistry. So
yeah, again, with like all four of these first Batman movies, each movie just has like a different love interest, and they just completely like don't acknowledge the previous one in the next movie. Um, it's
I
really
mean,
a sh-
they acknowledge Vicky Vale in Batman Returns,
Oh, they do. What was the excuse why she wasn't in it?
because in like the scene when he's having dinner with Selena, he talks about how he and Vicky they were gonna try, but him leading a double life just ended up not working out for the relationship. Um, and it's only in that moment. And she was supposed to return. Kim Basinger was supposed to return as Vicky Vale in that movie, but then they shot down the initial script, as I kind of talked about earlier, in favor of a more standalone film with new villains. So, but that's pretty much it. Just that in that conversation, he's just like he and her went their separate ways, and it's supposed to play into their dynamic. It's supposed to work better because Selena Kyle lives a double life as herself and Catwoman, and Bruce Wayne lives a double life as himself and Batman, and how they could and like how like that dynamic plays off of each other, whether they're good for each other or not. And I kind of like how they portray that in this movie.
Yeah. This movie's definitely very Tim Burton, and I don't think the studio knew exactly what they were going to get when they gave him full control.
Yeah, they gave him a lot more control this time around after the success of the first, and it shows.
I mean, because I know Tim Burton was going to return for Batman Forever, but just because of how this movie turned out, he eventually just left the project, and then Keaton left afterwards. And because like I remember the Michael Keaton had like one meeting with Joel Schumacher about Batman 3, and after that one meeting, and Keaton said he was done. So I don't know what happened in that meeting, but it did not go well. And
Yeah.
which good for him because those two movies are not very good. And I'm trying to remember even what really stood out in this story because it's really just like the aesthetic and like the character interactions, like the general plot It's just Penguin's trying to like destroy the city, isn't he?
Well, basically, he's trying to
'Cause he uses like actual
let it make.
penguins as bombs, which was really fucked up. I remember.
Well, yeah, he had the actual penguins, and like their whole thing was like, yeah, he was that they like he uses them to try to explode something. Yeah, because he wants the firstborn son of everyone in Gotham to be kidnapped because he was the
Oh
firstborn son that was
yeah, that was
abandoned.
so fucking weird.
Yeah.
His whole backstory at the beginning was really sad.
Yeah, it was because it just showed the parents, and then like the kid was deformed, and then he like they throw him into the river,
Yeah, I
and then he
don't.
eventually floats into the sewer, and then he gets accepted by the sewer people, and then he becomes the king of them later on. It's all like at the beginning. See, like even like the introduction of this movie is all about the villain, and it's not really Batman oriented. Like he's just it's really just
Yeah.
about the
Also, why
villain.
is
It's
it called
kind of
Batman Returns? It's the second movie.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I always thought that like why is it called Batman Returns? He
Because
didn't
he
like
was
leave
gonna.
at the end of the
I
first
always
one.
remember he was gonna call his third film Batman like Continued, which would have been fucking retarded.
That would have been really
No shit,
stupid.
it's the third movie. No, I just assumed it stopped. It's Batman stopped. Uh, and yeah, the fucking plot with the Penguins movie is so weird. Because in the comics, he's not like this weird sewer, like, deformed child. He's just like a gangster.
No, in most iterations, he's literally just a gangster. He's just a short,
Which
like,
is what they're doing in the Matt Reeves one, which I'm much more excited for that interpretation of the character.
yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. It does look good. So it does look good from what I've seen. That and the Riddler, obviously. We'll get to a Riddler here in a little bit, but
Yeah, but
honestly,
again,
I
like
like Danny DeVito's performance. Like,
all the performances of this are pretty solid and like memorable.
I mean, Danny DeVito, it's really over the top as the Penguin, and overall the character's completely over the top. But like, it really feels like a Tim Burton movie, and in that way, I do enjoy it. I think it was. I think overall it was pretty well done.
Yeah, because like in the end, I would probably say 89 is a better movie, but I'd probably give this the same rating as 89. They're about the same for me.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I'd also give this one about a 7 out of 10 because I enjoy it more, but I acknowledge 89 is a better film overall. I just both of them are they're just overall impressive to me. Nothing like great, but like I enjoy them. I'm never really bored with them, and
There's
I
passion
just
behind it.
I
It
definitely
feels
like this
genuine.
stuff. Yeah.
Feels like a genuine attempt. Doesn't always
Yeah.
work for me. I don't really love the Batman costume. It's iconic, but it's not the great. But
Honestly, I only really like one Batman costume, and that's
yeah,
Christian Bale's. I haven't liked any of the other ones. So
I liked Affleck's armored one that he had in like one scene,
yeah, it
and
was
just because how comic accurate it was. But I liked Christian Bale's. I think it was the Dark Knight one, and I don't hate Val Kilmer's one. It's just it's whatever.
the
And
Val Kilmer suit has like really thick nipples for some reason.
yeah, that's like the worst part about it.
Like the
Uh,
nipples, like they're like you can't even tell that they're nipples, but like they're in the nipple spots. So like isn't that's probably what they're supposed to be? Like I don't know, it's really weird.
I don't know why there's bad nipples in general. I know like Joel Schumacher was like I know he's like a gay filmmaker. I don't know if like he just wanted to do that for whatever reason, but like it makes no sense.
I mean, Batman Forever overall is a masterpiece. So like we could ignore that one fault.
I would not say Batman Forever is any word a masterpiece.
What?
No, it's not
You're
a fucking
insane.
masterpiece. I'd much rather watch like I don't know, Spider-Man 3.
You're insane.
Am I insane?
I mean, I'd probably rather watch Spider-Man 3 than Batman Forever, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, do you want to move on to those ones though?
I mean, I guess we could talk about Batman Forever. Okay, I recently rewatched it, and honestly, it was better than I remember. That does not mean good. Let me preface this. It was not good at all, but it was a little better than I remember. It has so many issues that were like literally almost nothing about it works, but a couple things like weren't as like atrocious as I originally believed. They weren't as egregiously bad. Val Kilmer was actually better than I remember. I always remember like hating him as Batman, but like he was just fine. Wasn't good, but he wasn't like that bad.
I know this movie was supposed to be a lot more like gritty and like have a lot more story than what was released. I know there's supposedly like a Schumacher cut of this movie that people want to see, that like delved into a lot more of like Bruce's psyche and like had like a pretty genuine like Bruce Wayne story. But then the studio was like, no. So then he just made this big comic book sell toys movie, because that's the biggest thing about these two Schumacher movies. Studio just wanted to sell toys. There's like a new bat suit every like 30 minutes. Every character has like 3 different costumes. There's like a Batmobile with like a disco ball in it for some reason, which completely just like what like the whole point of the Batmobile was to be like in the night. So I don't know why you have a disco ball in it, but and they introduced Robin in this movie, and like I really like Robin as a character, but I don't really like his iteration of Robin in these two movies much at all.
Like fine, but he's definitely nothing great at all.
Just kind of like shoehorned in, kind of rushed. He's really bad at Batman and Robin, but in Batman Forever, it's kind of like it's fine. It's like it changes up the story a bit.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a Robin origin story that they put in there, and like I mean, it overall just kind of fit. It doesn't like flow terribly. It's just kind of.
I really dislike Two-Face in Batman Forever. Like really dislike.
Oh my God, he's horrible.
Tommy Lee Jones does not act well as Two-Face. The character looks terrible. I don't know why they did like a half purple cartoon face. Why? The Riddler was also bad, but it was Jim Carrey, and like he made the role his own, and I really liked his performance. I just don't like that as the Riddler.
Dude, Jim Carrey. Here's what annoys me. A lot of people are like, oh, Jim Carrey's amazing. I was like, no, okay, Jim Carrey does over the top shit, and it works sometimes, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it doesn't mean it stops. It just keeps going. And his Riddler is so annoying, and it's one of my least favorite parts of the movie. And like, I don't even like the design that much. It's just like it.
He's wearing like pajamas.
Yeah, and like his origin story is so forced and like terrible. He was just like, oh, I want to do this like super like manipulative thing, Bruce Wayne, and then Bruce Wayne's like, oh, we'll talk about it later. He's like, actually, I need an answer like right now. And Bruce's like, well, if you need an answer right now, I'm going to tell you no, because how it is, it just isn't good for people. And then he walks away. Then he's like, you were supposed to understand, like you just destroyed me. And then like he kills people. It's like, and then he like sucks in like IQ, and he gets smarter. And then he's like, oh, okay. Now I'm gonna use riddles to destroy Batman, and it's just so. It's one of the worst parts of the movie, in my opinion. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I don't really like Riddler in this movie. I just like Jim Carrey as an actor, and I think he did the best with what I guess the script was given to him. But the villains in this movie were
in my older years as a pre-20-year-old still, I've come to pretty much only appreciate Jim Carrey's serious acting and like a lot of those movies. A lot of his comedic roles I just really can't do anymore.
Yeah. I haven't seen too much of his serious work. I know it's actually pretty good though. So
yeah, I mean, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a great movie, so
I haven't been able to watch that for a while.
Highly recommended for me.
What else about this movie? Also, the only constant in all 4 of these movies is Alfred. For some reason, that's the only thing they kept consistent. And I don't know the actor's name, but he was a pretty good Alfred, I thought. In all these movies, it was kind of weird though, because it's such a shift with like each movie having a different actor as Batman to like really feel.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the 4 like between the Tim Burton and the Joel Schumacher films, like. They're kind of all like connected. I've never been able to tell if they're like actually supposed to be like sequels to those original 2 or just their own thing, because it's kind of like they're kind of just all standalone but also connected.
I know they bring up Catwoman in Batman Forever. There's like a line about Catwoman, I think.
Yeah, there is.
So I guess I don't know.
A lot of the dialogue was pretty bad, so I didn't like listen to.
Yeah, they also never bring back Catwoman because like. They leave it on a cliffhanger that she's like still alive at the end of Batman Returns, but like nothing happens with that.
Right.
Because I know they wanted What?
I was just gonna say, yeah, Michael Gough is just like He's Michael Go or Gao, however you pronounce it. He plays Alfred in all four of them, and he's just a good Alfred. Like Alfred, you can't really like. It's just whatever. He does a good job with it, though.
Michael Caine is still my favorite Alfred.
Yeah, he's a solid Alfred, but he's kind of just like Michael Caine to me. So it's like,
yeah, but like I don't know. We'll see how Andy Serkis is as Alfred, which is like a really weird pick. But
I have no idea how that's gonna be.
The hit director of Venom 2 is Alfred. So
yeah, it's weird. It's a little weird. It's a little weird to think about, but yeah. And then what was I? Which performance was I about to talk about? I was about to talk about one of the performances. Oh no, the opening scene from Batman Forever just goes straight into Val Kilmer in the bat suit, and like he's like about to leave or whatever, and then like Alfred's like, "Can I fix you a sandwich, sir?" He's like, "I'll get drive-through." I remember watching that, and I like physically like almost threw up.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes that are weird in this. Because like Tim Burton's were not super comedic. There was a lot more of like the villains doing like maniacal shit, and it's just kind of like almost dark humor. And this movie's a lot more joking, even though like there's a scene where like Robin literally watches every single one of his family like die like pretty brutally, and then like the next scene it's just like that Riddler just like throwing people out a window and laughing. But yeah, I don't remember too much about the ending of this movie because it was so bland. There's like a whole plot with like Robin not killing Two-Face, but then Batman just kills Two-Face anyway. And then because like he throws like a bunch of coins at him like he's a fucking like retarded child, and like he just like goes for all the coins. I was like, is this supposed to be like a smart movie villain? What is this? Why is he so obsessed with
Two-Face was so terrible. Tommy Lee Jones is just everything about it.
And like Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey like viciously hated each other. Well, Tommy Lee Jones like viciously hated Jim Carrey on set, and it's so weird that they were like these two villains, and they were supposed to have like a working dynamic the whole movie. And then like the first time Tommy Lee Jones met Jim Carrey, he's like, "I fucking hate you, and I hate everything you do. Don't talk to me."
Yeah.
And then they
honestly, it's just that's my main problem is that the villains are like my favorite part of Batman, like I said earlier, and the villains are executed so terribly in this movie that it's just so frustrating.
Yeah. I don't know what I would give this movie. I think 1.5 is like the most I would give it.
I give it a 3 out of 10, and that's like the max. That's pretty generous just because it's Batman, and I gave it the benefit of the doubt as, you know.
I don't hate Val Kilmer's Batman. I do not think he was a terrible Batman. He only had this movie, so there's not much to go off.
He was better than George Clooney. I don't know why. I mean, we're gonna get to Batman and Robin here in a second, unfortunately, but like, he definitely. I mean, I think that film probably would have benefited from having Val Kilmer instead.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't. I'm assuming because he read the script and was like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on to that one if you want.
Yes.
It's one of like the most terrible movies that you can watch, but I feel like if you watch this with like a group of friends, you can probably have a fun time just like making fun of it. There's very few things that are even slightly redeemable about this movie. George Clooney as Batman's a weird choice. I mean, maybe he could have been a good Batman, but just I don't know. I never really see him as Batman. And
no, I don't think he fits at all. I think it's a terrible casting, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess any like seasoned actor could be good in the role, but like I don't know, he just seems like almost too charismatic and too stoic in a way. I don't know. He has so many dumb lines in this, like about the bad credit card. Fucking.
Oh my god,
stupid.
I'm gonna have a rant about that in a little bit. But
there's so much to rant about that, and
we'll get to that in a second.
All the villains in this are terrible. Arnold Schwarzenegger's really funny to watch, like.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
So atrociously bad. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. I love Mr. Freeze, and this is horribly done.
I really want like a good Mr. Freeze, and like this movie has like stopped them from ever putting Mr. Freeze in anything.
Yeah, like it literally ruined an on-screen version of the character for like 20 years now. It's absolutely.
It was the only thing that was interesting is like this was like the first Batman film that didn't like outright just murder, and like for some reason he turned like actually good in the end. I don't know why they did that, but that was like the only thing they tried to make emotionally resonant at the end of this movie. Poison Ivy was awful. Uma Thurman could have been good, I guess. She wasn't like a terrible pick, but like again, terrible costume, terrible origin story, terrible motivations, and terrible writing. And Bane in this movie, I'd rather not talk about because it's one of the worst things I've ever seen, like ever.
Don't even. So, Bane is my favorite Batman villain, and I know.
Bane's your favorite Batman villain. You probably fucking hate Bane in this movie.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. That's like the cherry on top, like the shitty cherry on top of this whole movie.
Also, why do you need Bane in this movie? Since when do Bane and Poison Ivy ever work together in the comics? I don't think that's ever happened.
No, it's so stupid. It doesn't. It was completely shoehorned in, and it was terribly executed. There was no point to it. It was just awful. Poison Ivy is in my top 7 Batman villains. I love Poison Ivy. And Mr. Freeze I like a lot too. And then Bane is my favorite, if not my second favorite. So and all 3 of them are executed terribly and they don't fit and it just doesn't work. And George Clooney's terrible as Batman. I hated it. And Robin is back and he does worse in this one than he did in the last one. And then it has the same tone as Batman Forever, but it's just executed even more with even more cringe in every single scene. And so everything completely falls flat. It's terrible. It's one of the worst superhero films I've ever seen. It completely fails in every way. And it's so frustrating. I was going to rewatch it because, maybe I could just laugh at it. But, I don't know if I'll have time now before the Batman. And if I see the Batman, I'm not going to go back and watch Batman and Robin. I'm not going to do that.
The only way I can enjoy this movie if I was so fucking drunk, I had no perception of what even a good movie was.
Right.
I would have to be so not sober, not into it. So, are you with everybody right now? By the way,
what?
Are you with everybody right now? Or are you by yourself?
Not by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so frustrating. And I guess while I'm talking about it, I might as well talk about the freaking credit card. So, freaking everything.
Never leave the cave without it.
Never leave the cave without it. So stupid. Look, the freaking
Was that supposed to be funny?
He freaking hypnotizes Batman and Robin. Then they're arguing about the price, and then Robin makes us
Also, why is it called Batman and Robin? Why is it called Batman and Robin? Robin was introduced in the last movie. What?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really make any sense. Why was the last one called Batman Forever? What about Batman Forever being? What was that?
I guess I kind of did the Bat logo and then the Robin logo was in it, but then it's just whatever. But what were you saying?
Yeah, no, it's all horrible. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why it would make sense because everything about this film is terrible. And then with the credit card, it doesn't make any sense for Batman to have it, at all. That is completely stupid. Why would Batman have a credit card? Everything about it's supposed to be anonymous, and everything about credit cards is supposed to be not anonymous. That's literally the opposite of the point. It's a super cringy line. He's never leave the cave without it. It's what that doesn't make any sense. How are you going to use a credit card to pay for Poison Ivy? What? And it's so stupid. It was so stupid. It wasn't funny. So what was the point?
You also had to get that. You had to go to the
funny?
bank and get that made.
Yeah, what?
Also, why would you do that? You would have to go in costume to the bank and make it and just sit there and stare at the people while you were putting in your information. Well, what's your information? You have to put in where you live and stuff when you get a card like that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Nothing about this this doesn't make any sense. Also, this was never shown in the previous 3 movies, and if this is in continuity of the Michael Keaton Batman, you would never do that. So this makes no sense. And then the dumb fucking plot with Alfred dying, it was okay, I guess this is emotional and all, but they make a big deal at the end about him being alive and he's cured. It's okay, he's still 89, he's gonna die in 5 years. I don't know why everybody's fucking freaking out about this. He already looks like he's dying on set because in the first scene he's breathing heavily and it's what the fuck are you doing? Half of the movie Alfred's just in a bed and everybody's crying over it, and then they introduce Batgirl and it's also terrible.
It's just they literally introduced
maybe the actress. So I don't think the actress is that bad as an actress, but in this movie she's awful. Everybody in this movie is awful. So again, maybe she could have been good with a good script, but she's awful in this. They do at the beginning that was fucking atrocious butt zoom-ins and like nipple shots of Batman and Robin, but then like when they suit up Batgirl, they don't even show nipple shots of her, which is just like, what the fuck, which is just ridiculous. And I don't know why they had those like weird suit up scenes.
Yeah, the
that's
actor,
like the first
Michael
thing you see in the
actor
movie.
Who played Batman, he was like 80 when during like for like Batman and Robin. So it's just like what's even the point?
Like, I get the emotional like resonance of it because it's like Alfred. It's like basically his like father figure.
It was also in Conga. Fun fact.
Who was the guy that played Alfred?
Hello?
What? Hello? Some technical difficulties? Hello? Ellis? God damn it. What's going on? Hello?
Yeah, you back?
Yeah, what the fuck happened there?
I have literally no idea.
Alright, fine. I stopped
anyway.
recording. We're going to start from the top. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but Batman and Robin is horrible. 1 out of 10. I hate it. It's just nothing works. It's awful.
I feel like there's a few more things we can talk about here. There's that one scene where like they show like an image of like Poison Ivy and Bane like crossing the border on like a plane, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen because they show like Bane in like a trench coat and like a little top hat, and like I audibly wanted to puke, and I was like 5, so
So upsetting. It's so horrible. Like literally, I hated Bane so much. I remember like when I was younger, I was like, oh, this is the Bane origin story because I love Bane. I was watching the film with like a 6-year-old, and like it was okay up until that point because I was a kid and it was fine. I noticed how terrible the action was and how stylized it was. By the way, the action choreography is awful in this film. But then I was like, okay. And then Bane showed up and I literally got like so upset. Like I started crying. I was like so upset. I'm not even kidding.
also
I was genuinely
like
so upset.
Batgirl has like 3 or 4 different like vehicles and like outfits in like the final act, even though like she's been Batgirl for like 2 hours. And they have like a different suit for like their snow gear, but then like they just change back into the other suit when they go to fight Mr. Freeze. So it's like, okay, you're just wasting precious time. What are you doing? And like Mr. Freeze's whole plan is like to freeze like Gotham, which is just like, at this point, just do it. I don't care. Do it, please. But have you heard what like the scrapped plans were for like a 5th one after this? It was gonna be called like Batman Triumphant. And
I actually have not heard about this now.
It was gonna be like dark. I don't know who's gonna direct it, but apparently there was gonna be like a scene where like Batman was like in like a hellish like vision scene. I don't know if it wasn't like actually hell. It was like some nightmare he was having. But like he would have been in court for like the murders he's done, and we would have seen like Jack Nicholson's Joker and like the Penguin, and like I think like Jim Carrey is like the Riddler or something, and like this like court scene where like they find Batman of guilty and he's like haunted by all of like the past like villains that he's fought and stuff, and like the main villain would have been Scarecrow. It would have been Scarecrow, like he would have done his stuff, and like Batman would have had this like vision thing, and like I feel like that would have been cool, but like I also never wanted a continuation of this movie ever. So
yeah, it sounds interesting, but I'm happy that it died because like there was literally no point in making Batman.
I don't know why anybody involved in this movie would come back to do another one, because this movie got some of the worst reviews like ever, and this single-handedly killed one of the biggest comic book characters like live action films for like literally like over a decade, I think.
Yeah.
It was so bad they completely wiped the slate clean.
Yeah, completely start new, get a new director, a new Batman, and lead into a whole new trilogy, which was just way better. So yeah, 1 out of 10 for Batman and Robin, and then we can move on, and we don't have to talk about it anymore.
We'll talk about it again, don't worry. Probably 1 out of 10. I really hope they bring. It sounds like they might have Mr. Freeze as the villain in the Batman like sequel, and I really hope they do that because I really want like a good version of this character.
Yeah,
even Poison Ivy, to be honest, because Poison Ivy is also a really good character.
Yeah, for sure. I do really enjoy Poison Ivy as
even
a villain.
Good Robin. Like we haven't had Robin really.
Yeah, that's true.
There's just so much like good stuff with Batman, but like it's been absolutely like trifled, and now they just won't do a lot of it ever again. But yeah,
Yeah, which they did have some things that have been done well, and one of those examples is 2005's
You did that
Batman
at the
Begins,
perfect timing, bro. I just put the image up.
directed by Christopher Nolan. Uh, much better than what we've been talking about the last little bit. So, Matthew, what are your overall thoughts on Batman Begins 2005?
Well, of course, I was told about this trilogy before I watched it. It kind of feels like the other two films that aren't The Dark Knight are kind of like put down and not talked as much. And I honestly think Batman Begins is a very solid origin story. And I think it's the best Batman origin story we've had. And everything in this movie is pretty solid. It's nothing like amazing. But if this movie's on, I usually have a good time. It's not really boring. And it has the only really bad stuff of this movie is the action choreography, because Christopher Nolan at the time was not an action director at all. And I like that they used a different villain. I thought Ra's al Ghul was a good villain. The Scarecrow was pretty interesting. And
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul was a good choice because it's a very underrated villain, a really important villain too in Batman history. So
yeah, this is a very realistic take. So a lot of the mystical and religious aspects of the character aren't as present. Same with Joker and Bane and all that. It's much more stripped down and realistic, and it really works for Joker really well. But with this movie, I really like seeing Batman's origin story and how he became basically a ninja, how he basically became an expert martial artist. Not too much on the detective side.
right, yeah, which has always been a big part of Batman. So it's really weird that there wasn't much of that.
There wasn't
kind
the
of
Dark
portrayed.
Knight a little bit, but it was just a weird subplot about a bullet leaving a mark in a cement block. But whatever,
Right,
we'll talk
yeah,
about that.
that's one thing that's always kind of disappointing is they didn't lean into the detective aspects. That's what it's looking like they're going to do a lot more with this Matt Reeves interpretation, which is going to be exciting. But for what these movies are, I really like them. We'll get into why I love them so much in a sec. But with Batman Begins, I mean, it really is. It's really the only truly origin story Batman film that we really have, because it actually straight up is an origin story. Batman Begins. All the other ones, it's literally just Batman's already established. So
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like Matt Reeves' Batman's going to be an origin story, which I'm happy about. And we didn't really get an origin story of Ben Affleck. So this is probably the best Batman origin story we'll get for a while. And
right.
this is much in line with my feelings on the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where it's I really love the movie, but it's not the best, and the sequel far outshines it. So
Right.
this movie's it's very solid. I'm not a big fan of Batman's costume in this movie because I don't really like how a lot of the earlier Batmans before this had the neck that couldn't move. It just looks silly, and I like how the later ones changed it up. Even Ben Affleck, who kind of had the weird neck, it just seemed a lot more useful in combat. But just in these earlier ones, it's just really stupid. But
Yeah.
I like his bat suit.
I
I
agree.
like how they explain all of his gear, how it's basically military stuff that he just repurposes. And the Batcave. I like how everything was handled. I really like Christian Bale and Michael Caine's dynamic. Michael Caine still has some good comedic bits, along with being a good Alfred. There's that one scene where I think Christian Bale's stuck in some house fire, and Michael Caine's you do all these push-ups, but you can't pick up a damn log, and then he just lifts up the log by himself, even though he's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Which I don't really like the love interest in these first two. I don't mind Rachel as a character. She's just, both the actresses are just kind of meh.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, bro.
Yeah, she was not good in this. She slaps him, and then she slaps him again, and I'm what the fuck's going on right now? But also Christian Bale's voice, I like it, I guess, but it also is kind of bad.
It's kind of over the top. I don't know. Something about Christian Bale's voice. I always remember being kind of off put by it. I was okay. It's
he was actually hurting
it's
his
too-
voice on set. Apparently he had really bad throat problems after these movies. which is like Jesus,
Yeah,
bro. Also,
it's
there's a
just
lot.
too,
He has a
like,
lot of
Batman.
dedication to his roles because, like, I think he did. What was that movie he did before this? It was that one where he got really skinny. Like
Oh, I mean, I know he does that a lot with all of his roles. I'm not
he
sure
played
which.
he played a character like that was like anorexic, like really anorexic, and like he actually got anorexic for the role, which is a little respect, but Jesus Christ, dude. And
It's a little extreme.
he had to like gain muscle and like all this like weight for this movie in like the span of like 4 months or something. So he was really dedicated to the role, and I think he's really good in this. All three of these really. I don't know. I feel like I'm really gonna like Robert Pattinson, so I don't know if he's gonna be my favorite after this weekend. But I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
what he's
I guess
done.
we'll have to see. But
Even just in the
I
trailers and what people have been saying, I'm really liking how Robert Pattinson's being portrayed here, and I'm really glad he won't be considered as Twilight Boy anymore.
yeah, that'll be nice. A lot of people like have kind of typecast him because of those Twilight films, and that's just kind of been like the dynamic, the narrative.
It's just like,
about him,
listen,
but, like,
it was a paycheck to him. It's whatever. They were shitty movies. It's
right,
also
makes
been
sense,
like over 15 years, so.
but he's genuinely a good actor. He really has the tools to give really good, grounded performances. So I'm excited to see his take on Batman. As of now, Christian Bale is my favorite. Batman Begins is a good part of that. Batman Begins, obviously, The Dark Knight more so. But we'll just have to see how it is after this weekend. Like you said, Batman Begins, I do really enjoy it. It's not really as nostalgic for me as the next one, or really even probably the third installment. But
It's just, I think this movie's just not, it's kind of overlooked, but it's not like an underrated movie. It's just, it's solid.
yeah, it's overall solid. I really enjoy it. A good origin story, like we've been saying. It overall
Also,
has good visual.
Commission Gordon in these movies, very solid.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's very underutilized in the first four, which I think it was the same actor in all those as well, but like he was fucking not used at all.
Yeah, he really wasn't.
He was so underutilized because Batgirl in the comics is like his daughter, and
Right.
he was so underused they just changed it to Alfred's like, what was it? His like cousin or something?
Yeah, it's like niece or something like that. I
A
don't know.
niece, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is not correct, but whatever. But Mr. Gordon's very good in these movies. Much better. I would probably give this like a 3.5, something like that. I think.
Yeah, I would give Batman Begins a 7 out of 10. Kind of like the Tim Burton ones. It's overall, it's good. I enjoy it, and I would definitely revisit it. It's worth revisiting. A very enjoyable film.
For sure.
It just kind of it gets overshadowed by its sequel because
The Dark
there's a
Knight
lot
is
to say about it.
Dark Knight's a fucking masterpiece.
The Dark Knight is a masterpiece. It is a perfect comic book film, in my opinion. It's in my top 5 probably favorite films ever made. Top 10 for sure.
Heath Ledger is one of the best fucking actors ever, and he's the best Joker.
It is the best Joker interpretation, and it's not one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, the Joker's the best. There's not too much debate about it really anymore. He's just kind of accepted as the best because
There was a little bit of people say Joaquin Phoenix was better, which I was like, he's really good, and he's probably the second best, but like I don't think he's better than Heath Ledger, personally. Hello?
Yeah, Heath Ledger's performance is absolutely it might be my favorite performance of all time. I don't think it's the best I've seen, but I do absolutely adore it.
Did you say you like
about it was
religiously
done
watched this
so
movie
well.
and you were like 10 or something?
What?
Did you say you like religiously watched this movie when you were like 10?
Yeah, I had a phase where I watched it at least once every week. It wasn't like one of those things like when I was younger, like the SpongeBob movie, I would watch like every single day. But like I was really young at that
Wait,
time.
you watched the SpongeBob movie every single day?
At one point, yeah.
Jesus
But there was like a
Christ.
year. There was like literally a year where I watched this once a week, and I never got bored of it. I enjoyed it every time, and it's one of the things that's made me love comic book films and films in general because everything about it is well done.
I've heard a film reviewer discuss this. Movies like this don't come around often. Where like after I watch it, it makes me want to go out and like write a script and just like film a movie because it reminds me how much I love filmmaking and like the craft of it. And this is one of those. this, like, if I ever, like, question if I like movies, if I watch this, it'll just completely reinvigorate my passion for it.
Yeah, it's that kind of film. Just like just in kind of like a broad sense, the visuals are incredible. The overall plot flows very nicely. The direction just completely works with great plot structure. All
And
the performances are stellar, and the chemistry works between every character.
I know
As a
when...
comic,
Oh, I'm sorry, you can finish if you want. I don't remember. Were you done?
no, yeah, you can go ahead.
I remember people were very, like, against Heath Ledger when he was cast. And
Yeah, he was because he was known for being in a lot of like comedies and stuff like that, and like not like super serious roles, and not really being that.
yeah, and
It was definitely
people
his
haven't learned
role,
this
so
lesson because they were the same with fucking Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. They're like, oh, that's a terrible choice. And then they were like this with Ben Affleck as Batman. They said it wasn't gonna be good at all. And like, if you don't love it or anything, that's fine. But like, Ben Affleck definitely, he did good with the role what he was given. And that people were like this with even Tom Hardy as Bane. People were like complaining about it, but then like, even if you don't like Bane as a character in that movie, Tom Hardy played the shit out of that. And
he truly did. I love Tom Hardy.
same with Robert Pattinson. People are like complaining about him so much. It's like people are really like underlooking these actors just because of like a few movies they did when like they just started off in their career. It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, actors get extremely typecast, and it becomes very frustrating because like I'm always willing to give them a chance. I mean, like
I love when
even if they
actors
have
do something out of their
performances.
comfort zone and like do something different, even if it doesn't like work all the way. Because I know like what Kevin James did, like a horror movie
Right.
like a year or two ago. I haven't seen it, but like I love that like actors are like taking chances like that.
Yeah, it's great to see them step out of their comfort zone like that, and like even if it doesn't work, like you said, it's great to see them try to like expand their horizons. It's really cool,
It's respectful.
and yeah, it's just a great thing. They like expand upon their craft and like put out something that maybe they would care about more and what they really want to do.
I mean, even like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like he's never done a movie like Joker before, I don't think, and he really owned it.
He killed it. He did incredible.
Because him and Heath Ledger were like really good friends too, so it's kind of funny.
That's true, yeah. It's kind of weird. Those are definitely my two favorite Jokers. They both killed their performances, but Heath Ledger is just, he's unmatched. He got almost too into the role as it could have.
And sadly, he died before. Did he die before the movie premiered?
Yeah, he did.
He never even got to see like what people thought of his role, which really sucks. Also, he won an Oscar,
really
didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and like the performance of his lifetime, and he didn't even get to see that reception and like the love and adoration for years.
Overdose is a terrible thing.
Yeah,
it was a really sad
absolutely.
loss. I would have loved to see him in other roles after this. He was sad. He was going to come back in Dark Knight Rises for a few scenes, and that sucks.
Right, that would have been amazing. I'm really interested to see how it would have changed that film because we'll get to that.
Have you heard what it was going to be? Because like it is known what it was going to be.
I did a while ago, but I haven't heard about it for a while, so I'm not really sure.
I think it was going to be after Batman was injured by Bane, and like when he got back to Gotham, it was going to be like he goes to Arkham, and him and Joker have like a big long scene where they talk, and they were going to discuss Bane and like the best way to stop Bane. So basically, Joker is going to like help Batman in this sort of way, but it's going to be like a really interesting like dialogue heavy scene.
I mean, with between Christian Bale and Heath Ledger again would have been amazing. The interrogation scene in The Dark Knight.
That's one of the best scenes like in any movie.
Here's the thing. There are so many perfect scenes in The Dark Knight when you really think about it. There's scene after scene is iconic and so well done when it comes to the tension, the dialogue, the performances, the visuals, the direction, the structure. It's all just perfect. Like, it just as a narrative and as a superhero film, just as like a comic book origin, like a real gritty, realistic superhero outing. It's amazing. I adore it so much.
Also, I love all the upgrades they give Batman. He has like a bat bike, and his suit's much better.
Yeah,
and there's even that like really big horror scene where like he kills that one guy who was like posing as Batman, and there's like a whole horror scene set up where like it's revealed like in an office building, and there's like that
Right.
video recording of Joker. It's like actually genuinely like a chilling performance, and there's that great speech by Michael Caine where he talks about how, you know, some people just want to watch the world burn, and
Right.
everybody's their A game in this. We haven't
actor.
even talked about Harvey Dent, who was also really good in this. I really loved Two-Face in this movie.
Yeah, Aaron Eckhart actually gave a really good performance as Harvey Dent / Two-Face.
Even though it doesn't really make sense in this ultra realistic world that he would be like alive and like walking around like drinking alcohol and killing people with like half his face like gone. He should have died like within hours. But
yeah, but like I think it was a great take, and it was great to see an actual like natural lead in.
So much better than Tommy Lee Jones. Like holy shit, so much better.
Well, because like Harvey Dent was a really important character before he even became Two-Face. That's why it's because
he's a tragedy in this movie, because literally like his first scene he talks about, you know, you live, either you die a hero or you like live long enough to become the villain, and that's his character arc in this movie.
And it's executed perfectly from beginning to end.
And while I didn't love Rachel as a character, her death scene was very impactful.
Yeah, it was really well done for a lot of reasons between a lot of different characters, and it really accentuated a lot of character arcs that all coincide really naturally throughout the film. That's something that I really love about it.
So I love that apartment scene if it's an apartment, it's like that big building of Joker where he like basically terrorizes the whole party. And like he hangs Rachel off a building. He has so many fun little comedic bits because he was like, you know, let her go, and he's like, that's a poor choice of words, and he just drops her off a building.
Right, like that's like essential Joker. That's what you want. Like he plays the perfect balance of the serious to the comedic Joker. I love it so much. It's absolutely great.
I might watch this movie tonight. I'm just thinking about it now.
I know. I love this movie so much, and even the terrifying Joker. Just every part of the Joker that's amazing. It is portrayed in this performance. It's absolutely incredible.
And I hate because we've talked about this before. I hate when people say the only reason this movie is good is because of Joker, because it's not. I mean, Joker's probably the best part about this movie, but like everything surrounding this movie is also very good. Because if the Joker was the only thing good in this movie not like be considered one of the best comic book movies ever made. It would just be like, okay, this movie was fucking mid, and Heath Ledger was good. But this movie's genuinely good and has some very good themes. And
yeah, it's really great. It expands upon what Batman Begins was starting with.
Yeah, it's very much like Spider-Man 2, where it's like a really good continuity, but it's like it really like expands.
Yes, it sits as itself as such a great Batman story, such an incredible plot, and just overall events and characters that are it's overall really exceptional. Really quickly back to Harvey Dent. You look back when I rewatched the Batman, it was funny because Harvey Dent was a character, and like he was in that film.
Yeah, he's played by Lando, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But he never became Two-Face.
That would have been so good. That would have been so good.
Yeah, it would have been really cool. They talked about how Tim Burton shot down that script for Batman Returns that was going to feature Harvey Dent, expand upon it more, and like it was going to carry over through the films.
That's fucking stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think that would have been really cool. I think that would have been an even better way to take Batman Returns, or like, well, how that sequel would have been. And then obviously we had Two-Face in Batman Forever, and it was horrible. So when we see The Dark Knight, and they just in this one film they set up the arc, and it's really effective, and it all works so well.
I love that. I love the ending.
It's deliberate with its pacing, which is really nice, and it takes its time, and it makes everything fleshed out, and it all works. And I really enjoy it.
I love the whole ending with Joker being proven wrong in the end by the boat situation, and then the whole confrontation.
Yeah, the boat scene is just another final like masterpiece scene, like toward the end. That just
and like how I love how Batman literally like throws him off the building, and he saves him, but I love how he's like laughing maniacally as he's literally falling to his death. Like that's like peak Joker.
And he gives one more speech, still trying to like he's still that Joker character, and it's amazing.
He's like, we're destined to do this forever, and then like there's just one more movie.
And he wasn't even in it because unfortunately,
Yeah. Also, we haven't talked about Joker's introduction scene, which is like fucking amazing.
It might be my favorite scene in the movie. It's up there for sure. Like it's absolutely incredible.
Even like homage the Batman like in the '60s Joker.
Yeah, which was really cool. That's what's so great about that performance. It brings in a lot of what the previous Jokers were. It becomes its own thing, like incredibly. Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
That introduction scene is
I
great.
really wish I could have seen this in theaters, but I did not.
I didn't either, and like that's super upsetting me. I really hope there's a re-release sometime because I really want to see that.
I would
I know
absolutely,
next year's the 15-year
I
anniversary,
would
so
absolutely fly down just so we could go see that.
yeah.
But honestly, if we could watch like all three of these in theaters, like back to back to back, that'd be pretty fun. But
That would be incredible. It is overall a really just good Batman trilogy. I mean, even if the final chapter is a bit weaker than the previous two. But overall, The Dark Knight, I think everything is handled perfectly. I think it's a perfect comic book film. It's a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite films ever made.
also the ending,
Incredible.
where like he retires, was surprisingly a really powerful ending. Also, I love how Joker in this movie, they never reveal his backstory. Like he changes his backstory each time, and each one is just as effective. And he's so maniacal and like pure chaos, and like they just exemplify that so much in the script, and then Heath Ledger just adds like several more layers onto it. It's just perfect casting, and Christopher Nolan was the perfect director for this.
Absolutely.
This will probably be just Christopher Nolan's like considered his best movie. He's probably never gonna top this.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I love Interstellar. I love
Inception's
I love
good.
Inception. I haven't watched that in a while, but that movie was really good.
Yeah. I mean, Memento's really good. Those are like his big three outside of the Batman
And his new
trilogy.
movie that's coming
Outside of
out,
the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oppenheimer, like holy shit, that cast is stacked.
Oh, I'm so excited for Oppenheimer. It looks incredible.
I wasn't that excited for it, but like this cast is fucking stacked, bro. I'm so excited. Fucking Robert Downey Jr. in a Christopher Nolan movie, fucking sign me up. But yeah, this movie's probably 5 out of 5. I don't really see many big problems with this movie. Maybe there's like some nitpicks. But like really, it's one of the most airtight superhero movie scripts I've seen. Hello? That was.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Where'd you go?
And we didn't even talk about like Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon.
In this one?
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this is probably his best performance. His weakest performance is probably the next one, but we'll get to that. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But he's incredible, and like he does the Gordon character like extremely well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want, we can start to lead into The Dark Knight Rises. But The Dark Knight, 10 out of 10, perfect.
Yeah, like I said, there's probably a few nitpicks you can point out, but I think this is one of the most airtight, solid superhero flicks I've ever seen. Also, that truck scene where he wants Batman to hit him. Not only was that practical, but it's such like a perfect encapsulation of the Batman Joker relationship, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I love it so much. I love Christian Bale and Heath Ledger's dynamic, and again, that interrogation scene is fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah,
every
fantastic.
single Joker line, like I know they're pasted online to hell, and like they're just so overused. But you know, he's like I'm not smart. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Right. There's just so many scenes in this movie that are just so perfect. It's just scene after scene is iconic and amazing. And like yeah, it's known as being one of the best movies really like ever made, but like I don't care. It's still like there's a reason that it is. It's incredible. I love it.
There's some people saying that this new Batman's like better, but like I don't know if it'll pass this one.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. Here, give me 1 second. You can if you want to lead into The Dark Knight Rises, you can. I'll be right back.
Where are you going?
I got it. My phone was I got it in my charger.
Well, next we're gonna talk about The Dark Knight Rises, which is the last movie in this trilogy, which I definitely enjoy this one. Probably the weakest of the three, but as like a trilogy capper, it wasn't that bad. It's kind of a common thing with most trilogies to have like a very weak final act compared to the first two, and this one definitely follows in that tradition. All the performances are very solid, as usual. I actually kind of like Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Maybe that's just me, but I enjoy her. And Tom Hardy as Bane was not as good as Heath Ledger's Joker, of course, but still very solid. Had some very good scenes. Is Ellis back?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Let's go. Can I tell you a quick story about this? When I bought these movies to watch them, I was so fucking pissed because when I got The Dark Knight Rises, the Blu-ray case for it, like it was the sides of it were broken, so it wouldn't clip together, and like chips of like chips of the spine were like broken off, so you could just like see into like the case, and I was so fucking annoyed. And when I got it, all like the discs were out, and there was like 3 discs, and I was like, "What the fuck? How do you manage this so badly?" But
yeah, that's horrible.
But it's fine now. I have a Dark Knight trilogy steelbook, I think, so we're all good.
You have a Dark Knight trilogy steelbook?
Yeah, I do. You never noticed that?
No, I thought you just had the Dark Knight.
Oh no, I have the trilogy on. No, wait, no, it's not a steelbook. It's a collection, though. There is a steelbook, though, I think.
There probably is.
Yeah, I might have to get that actually. But yeah, this movie's as I was saying, this follows the tradition of most trilogies, where it's like the third one's the weakest. But I'd say this is one of the better final films that's like still pretty solid on its own. This one probably has the most plot holes out of the 3. I don't know exactly what happened with the script.
That's definitely true.
But as I was saying, I actually like Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. I know a lot of people don't like her for some reason, but I thought she was fine enough. Maybe because when I was a kid, I thought she was like hot, but I don't think she was like bad in the movie. And Tom Hardy as Bane he had some very good fucking scenes, especially in that bank where he like puts his hand on the guy's shoulder, and he's like, "Do you feel in charge?" And he just like snaps his fucking neck. I was like, "Holy shit!" Some very good scenes. Also, his fight scene with Batman was quite brutal. It was like ripped straight from the comics. But once his like villain reveal happens at the end, it just makes Bane like a big pussy, and I'm like, why did you ruin Bane like that? He's supposed to be like this big mastermind, but then you just make him like this random girl's puppet, and I was just like, why would you do that? Bane was so cool, and then they just kill him like a pussy because not even Batman kills Bane, fucking Catwoman kills him, and
yeah, I thought that was really annoying to me.
Not to mention the girl that plays like the big final villain, that's like Ra's al Ghul's like sister or daughter, something like that. She just is a terrible actress, and she has like sex with Bruce Wayne once, and then he's like madly in love with her, and I'm like, dude, do you see this fine ass of a woman right next to you? That's Catwoman. What are you doing? But besides that, side tangent aside. What the fuck happened to Commissioner Gordon in this movie? He wasn't even fucking in it. And it's the trilogy.
I know.
Michael Caine was barely in it. He had some very good scenes. I especially love the ending scene where he's like crying over his Bruce Wayne's parents' grave, and he's like, "I failed you. You had one thing for me to do, and I failed you." And then like he sees Bruce Wayne and like nods to him happily at the end. That was very. Even though it was very, like, not realistic, because he was, like, telling Bruce Wayne this, like, dream scenario he had, and then when the scenario happened in real life, it was literally the exact way he dreamed about. Like, if half of my dreams happened, I would be so fucking happy, but they never fucking will, and this random old guy is, like, picture perfect. He's literally just predicting the future.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Like, I don't know, like, what...
Like, gosh, I dream about going to Hawaii, bro. Can I just wake up in Hawaii?
I wish.
A lot of my dreams are fucking weird. A lot of my dreams are fucking weird as shit.
Yeah.
I had like a dream where like somebody broke into my dorm, and like I walked down to the darkness, and like I turned around, all of a sudden somebody was behind me running at my door, and then I had to like lock my door real quick. It was fucking freaky as shit. I also had a dream where like I brutally killed my podcast host. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. It was
Should I
Tommy.
be concerned?
It was Tommy that was trying to
Oh,
murder. Okay, it's fine.
wow. So you picked Tommy over me as a
To
podcast
murder?
co-host.
I'm
Wow.
joking. Tommy, Tommy was like talking to me, and I was like, dude, we'll just make like another podcast just to talk about like Uncharted.
Wow.
No, we're just gonna make a
Just
podcast
Uncharted.
just to talk about the Uncharted movie because he's so excited for it. This is the newest
Welcome
joke
to
about Tommy for the rest of
AmityCast.
his life. It's just gonna be making fun of him for being excited for Uncharted.
It's a little mean, but
Dude, he gets mad.
but
He gets mad at you for not liking shrooms, bro. Come on.
let's not talk about shrooms. Let's not make this a shrooms thing.
The
Okay.
Shrooms trilogy, I feel like should happen.
Okay, back to Bane. So, I love Tom Hardy. He's a very good actor, and when he's given a good script, he gives it his all, and he usually really elevates the films that he's in with his performances. We'll just ignore Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage for a second, but
Oh my fucking
he
God.
really is a very impressive actor, and I really enjoy him. And his Bane was incredible. As I said earlier, Bane's one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite Batman villain. I absolutely adore Bane.
If
I
you don't
love
mind
his
me
performance.
asking,
I think it's
why is Bane your favorite Batman villain?
Wow, that's extremely offensive. I like mine so much
Well,
that
it's
you
just
would
like
ask
usually
that.
it's like the Joker or like Riddler or something. So I
Well,
just
yeah, my favorite is either Bane or Penguin. And usually my thing is always like I don't like the most cliche choice. It's just something in my brain that I just don't like that. But like Batman and Spider-Man are like my favorite superheroes, which are like two of the most cliche options.
well, they just
But
have the
even
best
though
like
like
storylines and the best villains.
yeah, like Batman is just like
Like,
Batman's just
Batman has one of
incredible.
the
And like when it comes
best.
to the villains,
Batman has one of the best rogues galleries, and so does Spider-Man.
right? That's definitely true. And when I was younger, I remember there were a lot of things. Everything that featured Bane, I always really loved, except for Batman and Robin. We won't talk about that. But I remember I had a
That's
comic
not
book
fucking
that had
Bane.
Bane in it, and I loved his design. I thought he was really cool. His backstory and abilities were always awesome. How he was actually like a genius who also made himself extremely strong, and how that made him deteriorate like mentally and stuff like that over time. I thought that was really cool, and I loved his like design, like with his mask and when he looked super buff. It was always awesome to me. And then in like a lot of like the Lego Batman games and like some other Batman games and stuff like that, I really enjoyed Bane. He was just always awesome. Just everything about Bane was always one of my favorites. And then Penguin, I always just loved like design and character wise. I just loved the Penguin so much. So those are like my two like favorites when
Yeah,
it
but
comes to the
like
Batman villains.
I think Bane and Dark Knight Rises, when it comes to his performance, I think people kind of shit on a lot. I feel like a part of that is because like Heath Ledger was just the villain before this, but I feel like Tom Hardy did a really good job actually. Like that one football scene where like he goes out and does that speech and then like he blows up the entire stadium. That was fucking scary as shit. He has some fucking terrifying ass scenes in this movie.
Yeah, he really did.
His
He's a really
voice is kind of
effective
hard to
villain, man. I
understand.
really like it.
His voice is kind of hard to
Yeah.
understand sometimes, but like I can understand it enough. And it's iconic.
Yeah, it's become very iconic since it came out, and Tom Hardy's performance is incredible. He really gives it his all. He tries so hard. He gained like 30 pounds of muscle for the role, which is really awesome. And like the character is really terrifying. It's a great villain. I think it's a really good like rounded Bane impersonation. It's not all about like the venom and all that stuff. It was just all like
He was
really
he was a
cool.
great villain until like the final like twist at the end when they just kind of like make him a pussy for some reason and then just kill him. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that was terrible. That made me really angry. That was when that film really turned sour for me.
And even the whole bombs plot at the end I wasn't the biggest fan of. Not just because it doesn't really make sense, but also it felt like just kind of a weird note to end the trilogy on, just taking a bomb to the ocean. But we can get a little bit more later. But again, I really like I like Catwoman in this. She gets a lot of hate, but I think she wasn't that bad. I feel like she fit the story well. I like her like character upgrade, like design wise, because like Michelle Pfeiffer's outfit was kind of weird and like very Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was like solid. The character design was passable, and like she did fine. Nothing
Yeah,
great for sure.
and
But, like, she wasn't like bad by any means.
and again, the action scenes improve in every one of these movies, I think. So these are probably the best like action scenes, I guess. They're the most like impactful, I guess, because it's like the end. And like they bring back Liam Neeson for one scene, which was nice because it was like good continuity. Would have been nice if they brought back Heath Ledger, but again, They were not able to do that, and there was no other way to create that performance without him there. And
Right. A
yeah,
recast would have been horrible. Can you imagine if they would have recasted that?
I think actually Christopher Nolan considered not even making this movie because Heath Ledger died, but everybody wanted a finale, so I guess he decided to commemorate it for Heath Ledger, which is respectful.
Yeah, and the thing is, I remember seeing this one in the theater. I remember there being a lot of hype around it because it was the follow up to the greatest superhero film ever made. Really, is what really it was. And I saw it in the theater and I was like, well, and I remember loving it. I was like, this was great. I love Batman, and I was really happy about it. And on every rewatch, it's just kind of like, well, it's okay. Honestly, it has a lot of flaws between like the plot holes and the weird ending and just a lot of different a lot of the characters that were so great in the previous two being relegated to much more like almost background roles, even much less effective, and it has a lot of those problems. I mean, I still enjoy it and I have fond memories of it. But it's definitely a pretty big step down. I mean, it's a follow up. Just being a follow up to such a great movie, it was going to be difficult. But for what it is, even on its own, it's just kind of it's just okay. Honestly, it's just nothing. It's nothing more than that. At least not to me. I never thought it was that great. I do enjoy it though.
Yeah, like I said when you were
there's a
away,
lot.
like I said when you left for a second. I mean, like it's solid enough, but it's definitely the weakest of the three for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Batman Begins is just much more solid on its own, and The Dark Knight's just like a masterpiece. This one's just kind of like it's a good ending to the trilogy, but as like its own type of movie, it's not like it just doesn't really reach those highs, which I don't know exactly why, because it's like the same exact people. But
yeah, it's really weird how it ended up turning out that
just
way.
like
I don't know.
a lot of the finale stuff, it just wasn't as like engaging as I thought. Like the whole Gotham versus like the whole like terrorist crew just wasn't as like exciting as I thought it would be because I don't have any connection to these Gotham citizens, and they have like a scene where Batman's just like fighting in broad daylight, which is just that doesn't always work for me because Batman just works much more as like the suit just like looks much better at night than it does in the day. So it just kind of looked weird.
He's a nighttime vigilante. That's what he is. So.
But it's just kind of like whatever. I don't like the ending with the twist of the secret sister of the main villain from the first movie. It's a very overused cliche, and it was not executed right because Bruce Wayne just like has sex with her once, and all of a sudden he's like, "You betrayed me. I loved you," and it's like, okay, dude, you had like a one night stand with her. Chill. Also, the whole subplot of like Bruce Wayne's like body like breaking down was kind of weird because he was like Batman for like a year, and then like he disappeared for 7 years, and he's like, yeah, you have absolutely no cartilage in like your lower body. And I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? What the fuck? That doesn't make sense. And then like he just gets like a weird enhancement on his leg, and he's fine again. So I was like, okay, what's the fucking point of that?
Yeah, that didn't really work at all.
Like, I know they're trying to do, like, an older Batman storyline, but Christian Bale's, like, in his 30s, so you can't really do that. It'd make more sense to do that with Ben Affleck, but again, we did not get nearly enough with that Batman, but,
Right. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's just...
I mean, this movie's probably, like, a 2.5? Maybe
Yeah, I mean, I think I would give The Dark Knight Rises about a 5 out of 10. It's neutral, it's inoffensive, but it has those flaws, and it's a decent...
Yeah, again, I enjoy all the performances, and, like, I enjoy, like, everything about it, for the most part. It's just... And, like, Bane's, like, a good villain, but, like, he's just kind of underutilized in some aspects. And he doesn't reach the heights of Joker, because I don't remember exactly what Bane was trying to prove. Like, what was he trying to... Why did he want to destroy Gotham so bad?
Yeah, the motivation, I don't really remember, honestly. So I don't know, like, what... I don't know. It's just it became a bit more forgettable, and it does have those issues, and just with what has been built up to
I completely forgot to mention one of the best improv scenes of like all time is that Joker scene when he's blowing up the hospital, but like it didn't go off, but he just keeps acting in the scene until it blows up.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. I remember hearing that was improvised because like it was actually like a malfunction that it didn't work right away, and it makes that scene so much better. And like I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's a fucking amazing improv scene. But yeah,
The Dark Knight Rises is a 5 out of 10. It's a fine ending to the trilogy. Overall, I do love that trilogy, though. I mean, I really enjoy those.
It's a very
three.
solid trilogy. It's one of the better superhero trilogies. I mean, I love the Sam Raimi
Christian Bale
Spider-Man
did
trilogy,
Batman.
but like it kind of flounders in that last movie. It's just
Yeah.
I love that trilogy for like a lot of reasons. A lot of it to do with those first two movies, and as a kid, I just love them. But like this is like actually pretty solid, like overall.
Yeah, it's actually a great overall trilogy, I'd say. Christian Bale is a great Batman. He's so far my favorite. We still have to
Yeah,
see
some
Robert
people don't like
Pattinson
him
here
as
soon.
Batman, and like I don't know why.
He's definitely my favorite. I think like he gives like a distinct performance in each of the three that like represent a different side of Batman every time.
Yeah, and he portrayed the
And
tragedy of the
I really
character.
like that. That's one of the positives of The Dark Knight Rises, the Batman growth and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
he's a good
also
Bruce Wayne.
did you like the whole Robin like setup at the end?
No.
It seemed kind of weird and forced. Like I get the sentiment to like leave it off on like a positive note, and like this guy's gonna take up the Batman mantle, but just at the end, they're like, "Oh yeah, I like your actual name, Robin." Joseph Gordon-Levitt was just kind of weird in the movie anyway. He just like figures out who Batman is in like one scene, and
a lot of things in that movie seemed really forced. I think if that wasn't the case, it would have been a lot better. But
I like
things were just
how they
kinda
ended
cool.
his arc overall. I mean, it's kind of I like how he just kind of like had his own life, ended up with Selena Kyle, and like had his own family. I heard there was rumors of Christian Bale coming back for the Flash movie as a cameo. I hope that's not true. I really want this to stay on its own. I never want to see Christian Bale's Batman again. This isn't like a Tobey Maguire situation where I feel like he didn't get a complete story. I feel like Christian Bale got a complete story here. And
I think Christian Bale, he gave his all for those performances, and
I feel like there's
he
no
left
more
it
to
off
tell
on a
because
good note.
he retired. He's not Batman anymore. This is, I guess, a really grounded reality. So I'm not really into that idea.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy overall, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is really solid, and I highly recommend it to superhero film fans.
Also, I love all the posters for these movies. They're really good.
It's Tommy back from the dead. I like Joker.
Back to the Tommy takeover days. That was Tommy's input on the Batman.
And he randomly
entire
says
discussion.
racial
He, like,
slurs and then blames it on his black friend.
Joker actors, there are better Batman actors. Don't at me.
I literally don't think anyone in the world would at you.
Tommy's so fucking high, bro. Wait, what'd he say?
He said there's better Joker actors than there are Batman actors.
How does that make any sense?
I mean, if you look at like I guess like Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix, and Jack Nicholson compared to like Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and like Michael Keaton, yeah, it's like
I guess. I feel like that's very subjective,
Whatever.
though. But,
there's been we can really briefly, I just wanted to touch on, there's been a lot of animated Batman films over the years. The Batman Mask and the Phantasm was like the Batman animated series movie, basically. And then there's been a lot of like comic book adaptations that are kind of just like direct adaptations from the comic books to an animated film. And a lot of them are just like good, but it's just because they're literally comic book reskins into a movie. So
I've seen the Dark
I don't think
Knight.
you've seen many of those.
I've seen the Dark Knight Returns one. That one's pretty good. And I've
Yeah, that was
seen
pretty good.
I've seen the
Under the
Flash.
Hood
I've seen the
really good.
Flashpoint one, which I don't know if that counts, but there was Batman in that.
Yeah, it's not really Batman, but it does have Batman in it. Batman Under the Red Hood was pretty good.
I
and I
really
saw
wanted
the
that to be a
Watchmen
storyline in like an
too.
actual Batman movie. That would be pretty good.
Oh, that'd be
That would have
incredible.
fit really well with like a
Case.
Ben Affleck Batman movie, but again,
Yeah, it could have worked, but I guess not.
but yeah, I mean, we could also briefly talk about Ben Affleck as Batman if you wanted, if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, but I also saw the Long Halloween parts 1 and 2 last year, and those were actually both really solid. And then of course, there's two others I want to briefly touch on before we get to Ben Affleck, and that's Lego Batman the movie and
movie's
the
fucking
Lego
great.
Batman movie.
The Lego Batman movie's fucking great.
It is, yeah. But what about Lego Batman the movie, which is different? It's very different.
I haven't seen that.
It's literally just the cutscenes from the game made into a movie, and they like released it on DVD.
How
It's
fucking
fine.
original! Jesus Christ!
It was really, It was really fun when I was a kid to watch. But the Lego Batman movie from 2017, I believe, was like a spinoff of the Lego movie. So it's not like really a Batman movie. It's more of a Lego movie spinoff, but it is a Batman movie, kind of. It's like a love letter to Batman, basically. It's amazing. I love it because it's a love letter to Batman. It's fantastic.
There's so many jokes about like DC and Batman. There's that one scene where like Alfred just calls out every single version of Batman, and like they show like clips of each one, and like they literally say bat nipples. It's just funny.
Yeah, it's really great, and there's a lot of great humor. And it's pretty much just nonstop jokes and references to Batman history and villains. They even threw Condiment King in there, bro. Like I loved that. It was incredible.
Also, the voice of BoJack Horseman is Batman, which is just kind of funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's just hard to watch those movies and not picture a horse now.
Yeah. Also, the storyline, like towards the end of that, was actually like the themes was like pretty heartwarming, and also like the scenes he had with Joker. He's like, we're nothing special. We don't have a relationship, and Joker like took it as like a breakup.
You mean nothing to me, and like Joker like that like sets off the whole film. It's actually really enjoyable. It's actually a good Batman story. I went into that and like I didn't expect to enjoy it so much, but it's obviously not a great movie, but I really do love the Lego Batman movie. It was so much fun.
Those Lego movies had a really good promise with that first Lego movie and Lego Batman, but then like the next two were so mid.
Oh my gosh, Lego Ninjago happened to the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Was there even another one? I know those two were just.
I think that was the last one. Because I think they lost the rights to like make Lego movies of like Batman and stuff. Because they were going to make a sequel to Lego Batman.
Yeah, they were going to make a lot more Lego movies.
I don't know what exactly happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I'm not upset. I didn't really need a whole universe for that.
No, yeah, that's totally fine.
Playmobil, the movie, this cinematic universe.
No, but yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about the Lego Batman movie, and then I guess we can just talk a little bit about Ben Affleck. We'll cover Robert Pattinson and all that. We've already talked about it a bit. We could talk about it plenty next week in the actual film. But Batfleck is it's really polarizing, honestly. There's some people that hate it, some people that love it. So, what are your thoughts, Matthew?
With what we're given, I really like. I'm not talking about the Justice League 2017 because that movie's garbage, but like, with just like Batman vs Superman and the Snyder Cut, and I feel like it's a different enough Batman, and it's like a much older Batman, so we get kind of a different story, and like the themes of him like overcoming and like becoming like with the team. It was fun, and it was cool to actually see Batman in a group, and actually in like a DC universe that had like other superheroes, and besides that one scene in Batman and Robin where they randomly bring up Superman, like that's just nothing. But
right.
Which the themes that they have in Batman vs Superman, which aren't extremely well shown, but I feel like they're pretty interesting about him like overcoming, basically just becoming less racist against aliens. But it's not
more specious, but yeah,
he would have done much better if he had a solo movie or two, which we were supposed to get, which is very sad because Ben Affleck like directing a Batman movie would have probably been pretty good because he is a pretty good director. But we never got that.
Yeah,
I like Ben Affleck as a character. I think he portrays him well. I like his suits for the most part, even though like one of them looks kind of weird, like the main one he has in this movie, and where they leave him off in the Snyder Cut was a decent enough end, I guess, but I would have liked more. Apparently he's going to be in the Flash movie. We'll see what they do with that. But
yeah, I really have no idea what that's going to be.
There's a rumor that they're going to kill off Batfleck, and then Michael Keaton's going to replace him as the main Batman in the DC universe, which would be fucking stupid.
That would be so stupid.
And I would fucking hate the movie because that's so stupid. You're just killing off a Batman that actually could have had more to bring in a 75-year-old man, but that can only do it for like a few more years. But
yeah, like literally, like what would even be the point of that?
You can do like a Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton, which would be cool, but like besides that, there's like nothing else he can do.
Michael Keaton's literally 70 years old. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're gonna do with that, but again, I like.
Just let him be a Spider-Man villain. Like, just why does he have to do Batman too? Like right now, I'm like, gosh.
Yeah, I want to see Michael Keaton next month in Morbius.
That's next month. Oh no.
It's actually less than a month
Even
now.
the delay wasn't enough. They delayed it again, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I could be relieved for a little while." But now that film's actually gonna be released.
They permanently delayed it in Russia since they're starting a war, so that's good, I guess.
They've permanently delayed like everything in Russia.
Yeah,
They're
they're like,
pulling everything from its
I told my
release.
roommate because I was like, dude, you won't believe it. Russia's gonna totally stop attacking Ukraine because Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has been permanently delayed.
They might not actually show the Knuckles spin-off series in Russia, so they're gonna stop the war.
Exactly.
But yeah, Batfleck, I honestly, I've enjoyed his performances enough. I mean, he was in Justice League, which was terrible, and he was in Batman vs Superman, which I remember enjoying on like the first like watch.
I like the extended
the
cut
theater.
because it's like better, but the theatrical cut
Yeah,
was
the
a
extended cut
fucking.
is better. I
Yeah.
do understand like a lot of the complaints it gets. It has so many flaws. Like it is a pretty bad movie overall. But
It's
like
the
I
yeah.
always thought that like he actually did solid, and I liked his suit enough, and like he's pretty good. Nowhere near like Christian Bale level for me, but I still enjoy it. I appreciate what he did and what he at least tried to do within that connected universe. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Batfleck though, because we don't have much of a sample size. Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was a bit better overall though. It's just I don't know what they're gonna do in the future with it, but whatever.
Yeah,
It's honestly whatever
it's a
when it comes to the
shame.
Snyderverse at this point.
It's very similar to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where it's just like they never got enough of a story and really enough creative control to really give us.
And never a truly like good script and truly good like place to exercise.
Because I think
so.
Andrew Garfield's a great Spider-Man. He was great in No Way Home, and I feel like Ben Affleck's a great Batman. He never got enough, and he got screwed over by the studio. And actually, I surprisingly like Jeremy Irons as Alfred. He wasn't bad.
Yeah, he was solid.
He was different, and I appreciated that. I liked his dynamic with like Wonder Woman and Superman after he was trying to kill him. The whole Martha scene was kind of weird, and it felt very half-baked to have this conflict between the two when they could just talk it out.
Yeah.
Because like the whole point of Batman vs Superman was like see him fight, but like the whole time they fight, Superman's just trying to like get him to not fight him, and it's just like, well, there's nothing thematic about this. With like Captain America Civil War, like Captain America and Iron Man when they fought, it was actually very emotional, and that scene is very good. It was a very exhilarating and emotional fight scene that ended very it ended the right way. But this one was just kind of gratuitous, and it felt kind of like they just had a fight because they had to have a fight because it was called Batman vs Superman. I do really like the logo with like the Superman logo in the Batman logo. But like you said, we needed more.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot too. That logo is really good. I don't like Superman as a character, but my favorite part about Superman has always been his dynamic with Batman. So
yeah, absolutely.
I
love seeing like Batman and Superman together. I love seeing the Justice League, but we just keep not getting it.
Right.
I would actually love an actual like extended universe that actually was good with consistent films that didn't have movies like fucking Suicide Squad and fucking Aquaman. But
Aquaman's amazing. Shut up.
Aquaman's fucking mid as fuck. I really loved it when I first saw it, and I watched it the second time. I was like, this is actually fucking terrible. what?
Well, that's funny because when I first watched it, I was like, "This is awful," and then I rewatched it, and I was like, "Honestly, I just appreciate how absurd this movie is, and just oh my gosh,
I mean,
it's just fundamentally failed in every way."
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's probably about all I have to say. We'll be talking about the Batman next week. Pretty hyped.
Yeah, very exciting. This has been one of my most anticipated movies for a while, and we finally get it in 2 days. In fact, 2 days from right now, I will have already seen it, which is so exciting. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's a long movie. It's like 2 hours and 56 minutes, which is like the longest Batman movie ever. So
yeah, it's gonna be real long. I've heard that it's extremely deliberate with its pacing, and it takes a lot of time setting up Batman as a great detective and like the gritty world that this Gotham is. And I just couldn't be more excited. I seriously cannot wait.
Yeah, anticipating this quite a bit. I just hope it delivers. It doesn't have to be like the best Batman movie ever made, but I feel like it'll probably be up there. I'm very excited that it's not connected to the DC, like all the other stuff, because it's just such a mess right now. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll be talking about that next week. We probably won't talk about another movie next week. We'll probably just talk about the Batman. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't think so.
I believe this is our longest video yet, so.
Yeah, it probably is. We had a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on with the Batman franchise. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, overall, Batman's one of the best comic book characters. Every reinterpretation brings something new, and I'm excited for what this new one's going to bring for however long it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. We'll see you guys
thank
next
you for
time.
listening. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. We'll be back next week with discussion on the Batman. So please be sure to tune in for that if you enjoyed this. And yeah, comment your thoughts down below. Let us know what you'd like us to discuss in the future. And unless there's anything else, have a great day, night, evening, whatever. See you next time.
Absolutely. You want to know I got these scars? My father was a femboy, and he...
Are you still recording?
Yeah.